We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics come. We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America. Systemic racism that has plagued our nation for far, far too long. I said that over the course of the past year that the blinders have been taken off the nation, the American people. But what many Americans didn't see or had simply refused to see couldn't be ignored any longer. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that took George Floyd's life opened the eyes of millions of Americans and millions of people around all over the world. It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten. And it's not white Americans' fault, but just a fact.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist perspective, bringing you those ADOCS hot topics and making the case for reparations. Making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering, and today, family, oh yes, we've got the king, Mark King Carter, and his partner, Tamiko Holt, in the building. Oh, they've come with get information that supports one of my prior archives about the New America plan to ethnically cleanse ADOCS up out of the very country our ancestors built with their lives, or at the very least, their intention is to make us bottom caste, even more bottom than we currently are, fourth-class citizens in the country our ancestors built with their lives. They're setting us up to eat the cost of slavery, and they're weaponizing the immigrants whom they can deem white with a stroke of the pen to help them in their efforts to continue to oppress us. As the anchor of this country's capitalism, we're not afraid to talk about it. We know that this is the government. Oh yeah, because capitalism needs a bottom caste, and they decided long ago. Okay, these are hundreds of years. These plans are hundreds of years in the making, family. And we're just now catching up to the puckery of it all. And so I welcome you one and all. I see you, Easy Axe. I see you, Brian Johnson. Thank you guys for joining the live. And for those of you who have yet to chat where you're slinging bricks for ADOCS, FBA, B1, ADOS, welcome to the live. So we're not afraid to have the tough conversations. They want us to be afraid to talk about immigration and how it is dreadful and dangerous and to the peril of ADOCS in this country. They want you to be quiet. They don't want you to offend them. Well, this ain't got nothing to do with the immigrants and yet everything to do with the government weaponizing immigration against ADOCS to make us eat the cost of slavery. Let me, without further ado, bring up my illustrious guest. This is their fight, which is our fight, right? We got to put the gate up around the reparations we are owed in the trillions over multi-generations. And King and Tamiko are here to tell you about the Office of the New Americas cropping up all over the country to give our reparations away to the immigrants, to protect capitalism. That's what all of this is about. It needs an anchor, and they decided when they dragged us here in chains that we are it. But we're wise, and we're getting ahead of this, and we're fighting against this. Introducing Mark King Carter and Tamiko Holt. Stand by.
Good evening.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, sister. Good evening.
Tamiko, I don't see her. When she comes back, we'll bring her out. Oh, there she is. Okay, hold on. Uh-oh. There she is.
I'm still working, so I'll go in and out on camera, but I'm still working.
Okay, my sister. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. We are super excited. My audience became familiar with the New America plan when I was privileged over in Clubhouse to hear Mark King Carter talk about this plan. You see, over here on this channel, I have been sharing with the family against everybody's pushback to be quiet about it. That's what they like. They want us to be quiet about the puckery of the government and its designs to tether us to the bottom of the Titanic.
Exactly.
As the anchor of this country's capitalism, while giving all the reparations we are owed to the immigrants and the refugees and the white folks through class-based policies, which we all know do not fix race. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm just super excited. First, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves. Give us a little background about who you are and how you got into this fight for our people. Mark, go ahead. Oh, Tamiko, go ahead, sweetheart. Are you able to speak? I know you're on mute and you're still working.
Yes, fortunately for me, I work for myself, so that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing at the same time, being ADOS, because they're not trying to get us contracts. No pathway to it. But everybody else can do that as long as you're not us. But I understand. Hi, my name is Tamiko Holt. I'm 49. I live in Chicago. I've been here all of my life. I have 2 children. And how I got into the fight is fighting on the subsidized housing space, fighting in the subsidized housing space, and learning different laws and economic opportunities that were supposed to be afforded for subsidized housing residents and surrounding residents in the community. And that is one of the biggest laws, Section 3, and that led into learning about different other things that was going on around us, and we had no clue. So I'm on different boards here in Chicago, but that has nothing to do with us with the mentality you have to be boots on the ground.
Thank you, Tamiko, for being here. Mr. Marquine Carter, could you please share with the family who you are and how you got into this fight?
Oh, I mean, how I got in this fight maybe around 98, 99. You know, I got a chance to see why the suffering had been going on so long here in the city of Chicago, and that led me, you know, basically to get involved with Chicago politics. I've since run for city council twice, but to take a step back, what really brought me into this is that I had a situation where a city council member attempted to send one of his henchmen to try and extort me in one of my businesses. And, you know, he was sending inspectors on me and things like that. And I got to the point where I said, okay, so since you all want to put pressure on business owners, then I shut my businesses down and started putting pressure on them and became an activist. And we talking since 1999, I would say, to present. I've been out on the front line. I live on the front line, and, you know, because of the fact that we've had this type of corruption going on. And I've been out here 20 plus years on the front line, standing up for our community. And how I got to this point, you know, to start talking about these different offices of New Americans was just through my you know, constant day-to-day activism, stumbled upon the information and started doing research. And it just led me to not being, I just can't I can't let go. I can't let go of knowing that all of the resources that our people have fought, died, got dogs sick on them, blood, you know what I mean, water hose sprayed on them, hung all the way back from slavery to now, Jim Crowism, all that. Oh man, you know, in seeing that, there's no way that I will be able to, as a man, be able to allow this to go on and don't sound the trumpet, don't blow the trumpet, and inform our people as to what's happening. We'll do reparations, and we're going to stand and fight till we get them. And this Office of New Americans is just another form of reparations outside of the check that's due to us for the groundwork that our people laid in order to shape and mold this country. Everybody owes us an apology. Everybody owes a thank you, from the people that brought us here to the immigrants and refugees that benefit.
Absolutely, sir. Could you, thank you so much for being here. Can you please, I've done this on an archive, but it's been some time ago. I've been trying to get you on as a guest for some time now. I want to shout out ADOS Nashville's Nicole Williams Krisman, who is responsible for putting us together finally.
Give it up for Nikki.
I am so grateful to her. Can you turn your mic up any? Is your mic all the way up? Your mic? Your voice is faint. Your camera's perfect, but your mic.
I don't know why that is. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's just faint. I might need to turn on my Bluetooth. What's up, Satch, Ohio? I see you, family. Listen, I'm going to try to put you on my Bluetooth so I can hear you.
Okay.
The volume is already faint on my regular laptop. So just give me a second, family. Hold on. Let me get this going. Just a second. Hold tight. Oh, you guys, please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Okay? I need y'all to do that for your sister. All right? While I'm doing this real quick to see if I can get this volume up. And I also need you guys to tell me if you hear feedback once I get this thing successfully on the YouTube. Hold on one second. Did it go? Hold on, guys. It's on. Okay. Okay. I don't know if it took it. I took it off of here. Let's just see. Let's just keep going. Let me fly my banner. You guys, thank you for your support of the show and my voice as a part of the New Black Media. And I'll wave the flag down at the bottom if you so choose to give. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, because we need to understand the plans that are in operation to ethnically cleanse us up out of here.
That's right.
We are on the bottom in every metric, family, and it's by design. This is not like something that's happening by happenstance. And oftentimes we're told to be quiet. Thank you, Brian. Oftentimes we're told to be quiet about these things, but it's in being quiet that we look up one day and everybody's sitting around scratching their balls over black on black crimes and murder, as if we just all of a sudden woke up and became murderous criminals. You see, they skip over all of the things they've created in order to create the problems, and then want our vote to be the solution.
Yes.
When there's really no solutions coming.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, King, could you please share with the audience what the new Amerikkka plan is and which president it originated with?
Okay. So back in 2011, here in Chicago, Alderman Rahm Emanuel, who was then the mayor, he's the same mayor that attempted to cover up the killing of Laquan McDonald. And so back in 2011, he convened a meeting of 50 people from the business, let me go to it: business, academic, civic, philanthropic, community, and immigrant advocacy leaders from across the city. That initial meeting led to them formulating a plan. And then that plan was rolled out, I would say, about 3 years later. But in the midst of that 3 years, 2014, Barack Obama was reached out to by Rahm Emanuel. I guess it was implemented about 2015. So by 2014, Rahm Emanuel had reached out to President Obama to pitch it to him. So at the same time he was setting his plan up here in Chicago, he reached out to President Obama to expand the plan nationally. And so they expanded the plan into 48 cities. And they saw everything in their summation that it was going good. And so after Barack Obama left, and you know, it kind of simmered down a little bit, but it still was going on under Rahm Emanuel and here in the city of Chicago, even after Rahm left. When we got Mayor Lightfoot, she picked right up on it, because she's part of this whole liberal, give everything to everybody but black people thinking. And so, like I said, it simmered down a little bit under Trump, but then now that Biden is in office, it has gone totally national, and it's in I would say, without checking on it, it's probably in so many cities now that you can't even count. That these offices are stationed in the mayor's offices across this country. Now, the national office of New Americans is stationed out of the president's office, directly out of the president's office. And so these people are working day in and day out to legalize these 11 million immigrants under these offices of New Americans by giving them every resource known to man. Every single resource, whether it be educational resources, housing resources, jobs, contracts, business development resources. They're giving them to these people in order to get them to be their next voting bloc, while we left standing with nothing. And so in seeing this and being the man that I am, and I'm pretty sure that any other men that are out here, if they saw something like this, they would do this. They would just get into jumping action just like myself, and that's begin to organize and sound the trumpet that we're not going to stand back and watch this. We're not going to stand back and accept this. You know, we're not going to give the consent to these people to even feel as though that this is okay. And our move is to demand that you give us the same exact office. And if you're not willing to give us the same exact office, then don't give these people this office nationally. We're not going to sit quiet and idly by while you give them everything under these offices of New Americans. And I want everybody, every single person that's listening in, to get your pen and paper. And as we go throughout the show tonight, I want to consistently give these bill numbers. like HR 572, HR 1308. And make sure that you put buzzwords like immigrants or refugees along, attach them with when you researching this, because sometimes it might pop up different information. But just say, for instance, HR 572 Immigrations Bill, or HR 1308 Immigrations Bill, and then there's another one, S747, which is a Senate bill, right? Now, each one of these bills have a mirror Senate bill. So it's like S747. If you look on the House side, it's so where you have S747, the mirror bill in the Senate, in the House, it's HR. Let me slow down. I got to slow down a little bit because I'm moving too fast. So where you have S747 in the Senate, there's a mirror bill in the House called HR 1909. Let's say that again. So where you have S747 on the Senate side, you have HR 1909 on the House side. And so these people are, we're talking about bills that were introduced literally 7 days after Joe Biden was elected. 7 days after this president was elected. So that means that these people had these bills already in the hopper, ready to be introduced the minute he became president. HR 40 was introduced in 1989 and still hasn't passed. How do you introduce bills 7 days after a president is elected and they're already about to be signed, and you haven't passed HR 40? But the bigger part about it is that why hasn't these black elected officials in the Black Caucus made noise about it? The people that look like us, the descendants of slavery just like us, why haven't they sounded the alarm to the country of us? I'll tell you why they haven't sounded the alarm: because they're too busy trying to push to accommodate all these immigrants and refugees, and they don't give a damn about us. And it's time that we show that we don't give a damn about them. And if it takes for us to make them lose the House and lose the Senate in order to send a message, so be it. So be it. We're not benefiting. The Black Caucus, if you look at these different bills, HR 572, the congressman in my district, in the district that I live in, he was co-sponsored. He's a co-sponsor on this bill. Congressman Cori Bush just got in office. She's a co-sponsor. Jamal Bowman co-sponsors on these bills. Where are our bills? These bills, literally spell out everything that we've been marching and fighting for. They spell out giving these people everything. Again, like housing that we've been needing so bad. We have people in California sleeping on the side of the road. But you accommodate illegal immigrants? And not only are we United States citizens, but we're United States citizens that built this country? No, we're not going to accept this sitting down. And we don't care what politicians tell us to go along with this. We don't want to hear that. Don't come to us playing the black card and trying to get us to be quiet about this. We're not going to be quiet. As a matter of fact, we are gearing up to protest our congressman now about this. All three of the black congressmen from the Black Caucus will be protesting here in Chicago. We're going to send a strong message, and we're going to go live while we're there in front of their offices. We want national press to come in, because with that national press, that then shows you all in all the other cities where you are, that this is going on in your city. And so I'll stop by saying this. Google Office of New American in the name of your city, and I can guarantee you the office is in your city just as well as it is in ours.
I thank you so much for reference. Thank you, Brian, my co-host. He's written down Senate Bill S747, House Bill 1909, House Resolution 572, and there was one more.
HR 1308.
Okay.
HR 1308.
Okay. let me let you take a breath while I read something to you guys about why immigration is the worst, most oppressive things to ever happen to ADOCS. You know, while they're getting you guys geared up to cry at the borders about what's happening there. While you guys are crying a river, your own children are being sent to the gas chamber.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happening because we're being squeezed by a lot. I just had Rosita Chatonda on my show the other day. She's out of Chicago. She was a teacher in the Chicago public school system. And she told you about the horrors of the Boule, the AKAs, who were principals in many of these schools, and how they colluded with Mayor Daley to actually get rid of all the teachers, the Black teachers in Chicago and all over the country. This has been happening.
Who for the most part were their members? Who for the most part were their members? Those the lower level AKAs, the lower level sororities and fraternity members. If you weren't part of that higher echelon, they allowed Mayor Daley to get rid of their own members of their organizations as well as people who weren't members of their organizations that were school teachers. These people are diabolical. And
they're diabolical.
And segregate from them.
And they're diabolical, and many of them look like us. You see them right now, and that's why I call them the colored gatekeepers of white supremacy.
That's right.
And so Miss Rosita was explaining to you guys how we have lost control of our children because they replaced Black teachers with immigrant and white teachers to turn our children against us while taking away the only surrogate family they ever had, which was the Black teacher, to feed them, to clothe them, to give a damn about them. They don't care about the poor Blacks. And the challenge with this is we are predominantly poor. I know that we have the luxury and the privilege here to have Wi-Fi and laptops and all the fancy latest things. But trust me when I tell you, we are a small percentage of a bigger collective that has very little to nothing. And these are our people. And so many times they're the ones to get shamed for popping out babies like popcorn. Nobody shames the Latinas for having babies like popcorn. They don't get shamed for outpacing ADOCS in terms of population. I'm gonna mute your mic while I speak. I hear some background. They don't really care about the fact that Hispanics are having babies left, right, and center. They're trying to come for Black babies. And so what they do is they neutralize us economically. They come for education to establish the preschool to prison pipeline while giving all these other groups that just got here agency over ADOCS. There's no reason in the world that Kamala Harris should be a stone's throw in front of the presidency within one generation when we've been here for over 400 years. And this show is designed to help you understand that this fight is with our government, who is complicit on both sides of the aisle. But this blue y'all continually show up to vote a trifecta for is here for our demise and our peril. And you guys refuse to weaponize the vote. And you're doing this voting blue no matter who while not making demands before you cast your vote to hold them accountable to some executive orders for our social justice and economic inclusion. So I'm going to jump to an article about why this is problematic. And Mark, your mic is mute, but I want you to take notes as I read this to the family because I want us to talk about some of the points in here to support tonight's conversation. I muted it because I'm getting a lot of feedback, and the only way I can really hear is to put it on the Bluetooth, which looks like it wants to die. Lord have mercy. Okay, so it's time to discuss the impact of immigration on the inner city blacks. Now, this was written in 1992, and yet Barack Obama came up with the New America plan in 2014. So it's not like they haven't known that immigration is the albatross around ADOCS' necks. This is not new information. It might be new to us. It is not new to the powers that be. Watch me now. In all the weary explanations of the devastating riots in LA, this is November 4th, 92, a major factor has escaped serious discussion. The white-dominated news media have been loath to discuss the role of unprecedented levels of immigration in the deteriorating economic and social conditions for African Americans who live in the nation's inner cities. While the massive immigration provides cheap labor that benefits a well-to-do portion of Americans, it depresses living conditions for the working class in ways that disproportionately harm Black citizens. Now, me speaking, I don't give a damn what you think about Trump and his rude tweets. His wall to push back on the immigrants was actually helpful to ADOCS. His wall was helping us. And King, I want you to speak on this when I come back and unmute you. Reluctance to speak frankly in the first days after the riots was perhaps understandable. One would not want to be misunderstood and invite more conflict at a time when calming intergroup and interracial fears was primary. But the time has come for clear thinking and candid talk about what 27 years of massive immigration has done to Blacks. We should not have to rediscover that massive immigration widens the divide between wealth and poverty, stirring up social dynamite. Now, this is to the niggerati, the educated lames who come for me and want to call me a Trump supporter when I push back against Biden-Harris plans to flood this country with about 22 million more immigrants, overpaying us the reparations we are long overdue in the trillions over multi-generations. This was in 92, before Trump was even thought of. And I found a good 10 articles speaking about the weaponization of immigration against ADOCS to make us eat the cost of slavery and to make us a permanent bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Back to the text. This country has a long and sad history of allowing the massive importation of low-skilled foreign workers to displace African Americans, though most Black contemporary leaders have lost or renounced the ability to speak about this difficult reality. Now events seen on television expose the issue, and we must learn to talk about its dynamic and its cure. Booker T. Washington dared do that in his famous 1895 Atlanta Exposition address. He implored his audience of powerful white industrialists to stop bringing millions of workers from Europe to take up the factory jobs opening by industrialization and instead to turn to the underemployed freed slaves and their descendants. Quote, "Put down your bucket where you are," was his memorable phrase. Me speaking, and we are still fighting this fight. Only 16% of us hold college degrees. That means 84% of us are competing with Hispanics, Asians, Indians. And even when we have degrees, It is not an indication to your wealth position. There are people with master's degrees that can't even get jobs for years on end, reduced to driving Uber. When you're ADOCS, you can guarantee that you've got more white high school dropouts gainfully employed than college degreed ADOCS. The country did not listen. Why didn't they listen, family? Because when we were emancipated, Abraham Lincoln wanted us to be expatriates. He wanted to us out of here into Haiti or somewhere. He wanted us out. And so when we refused to go, because we built this country, our ancestors built the country with their lives, they started to find ways to keep us tethered to the bottom as the anchor of this country's capitalism through policies and legislation. They've been giving away our reparations since the Homestead Act. Since they took back the 40 acres and a mule and gave our land to white immigrants, and white slave owners got reparations. And when we pulled ourselves up by our bootless straps and built all the Black Wall Streets, they came through and lynched us and burned down our businesses, our homes. And to add insult to injury, I read where the women of Tulsa, the ADOCS women, had to watch the white women who lived amongst them going about town in their furs, in their clothes, in their jewels, while they had their lives threatened if they were to ever speak on Tulsa aloud, which is why it's just now becoming a big deal in the country and the world, because they've been fighting for reparations for 100 years. And although they found $30 million to build the museum, okay, they have yet to pay the last 3 standing descendants and survivors a dime of reparations. I heard somewhere they may have gotten 100,000, but they're 106 and 107. They don't have long to make much of that to leave inheritable generational wealth. And this is why they call us Black identity extremists, and they want to shut us down. And that's why we are continuing to keep going in the new Black media. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. So I'm going to just finish this little part, and I'm coming back to my guest to weigh in. The effect on lower skilled urban Blacks has been devastating. The more than 25 million immigrants and their descendants since 1970 have flooded the unskilled labor markets, causing poor wages to decline to still lower levels, according to labor economists such as Vernon Briggs of Cornell University. Businesses and governments have had little incentive to upgrade jobs and productivity through technology, capital expenditures, and more efficient management. Nor have they had any pressure to train disadvantaged Blacks to take the higher paying jobs that would have been created. As former U.S. Secretary of Labor Ray Marshall has said, massive imports of cheap foreign workers have led to too many businesses to pursue a third world low-wage strategy. I'm coming back to you, Mark. I need you to weigh in on what you just heard. You got the floor.
I would say this. While the riots were going on, the Hispanics were gearing up to run Black people out of LA, which is what we saw happening. This happened where people were burned out, killed, thrown out of their homes, and there was no cry. There was no noise made by these Black congressmen, these Black elected officials, these national Negroes across the country that say that they speak on behalf of us? Where were the voice of those who were supposed to be representing our people at that time? And to what you call the niggeratis that think that they got it made and figured it all out, they're going to get rid of them too if we don't step up for their dumb ass. Because it's obvious, you know what I mean, that they think it was 20, they think that it's 20, 30 years ago when they really meant something. Under these Office of New Americans and these plans like what happened in California, there's no need for an educated Black person in this country. And so we're forced to have to build our own communities back up. We're forced to have to start Black communities like Wall Street. And I think that more so than what happened with Wall Street happened because sometimes we fail to believe as these people believe. And I'm not speaking against them, you know, for whatever happened. Man, I cried strong tears for my people about what happened in Tulsa. But until we start believing and doing exactly to them what they do to us, then will they stop believing that it's okay for them to do it. Whatever resistance and whatever measures they lay down on us, we must lay those same measures and measures down on them. Fact. And when I hear about the stuff in California, man, it upsets me. Because if these Hispanics in this city of Chicago do what they did to Black people in LA, it would be a bloodbath in this city. And they know this. They know it very well. And so the best thing for them to do is stay in their little Mexican place across 22nd Street. And we're going to stay our little Black place in what we consider Black town. Dr. Claude Anderson predicted this, y'all. Dr. Claude Anderson said way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that they were going to bring these people by the droves to this country. He warned the people that this was going to happen. But you know, we are always so sympathetic towards everybody but ourselves. And so we act as if he was being a troublemaker. He was causing trouble. How do you feel now? How do you feel now, Black people who felt that you had it all figured out and you were sitting high on the hog, now that they want to move you out of your place? Now that they want to take you out of your position. See, as long as it was happening to poor people in the hood, it didn't matter. Poor people in the hood ain't nobody to these elitists do nothing Negroes. Poor people are nobody to all those that think that they've arrived. But now it's hitting your doorstep. Now all of a sudden, we are in trouble. No, we've been in trouble. We've been making noise. We've been organizing. Where have you been? Is the question. Wait, I can't hear you.
To your point, it's feedback, so I have to mute you when I speak. But to your point, I've shared with my audience in former archives how Wells Fargo Bank got rid of all upper-level management, all of us Black professionals. They wiped us out, replaced us with immigrants. It took the lives of 3 of my colleagues. 2 were very close friends of mine. The third, he was in upper-level management, drank himself to death in his own home. That's how crazy it makes you when you've got all this seniority and then they come after you. They come after your jugular, after your job, after your livelihood. And that's what they've been doing to us here in California. So they replaced us with immigrants, mostly Hispanic. And so you'd be hard pressed to go to any bank in California and not see it overwrought with Hispanics. And when they replaced us with the immigrants, they set those immigrants up to rob the Wells Fargo banking customers, putting products on them and things to bolster up the profits or the appearance of profits for the sake of the shareholders. And then they fired 5,500 of them for defrauding the customer at the behest of the upper white level management who wanted to turn a profit for the shareholders. And then they gave John Stump, the CFO, a $146 billion parachute. So to your point, King, you're absolutely right when you say that it's now spilled over into the professional. When I put my condo on the market, it's about a 10-minute walk to the beach, 1,000 square foot, 2-car gated parking. It's worth over $500,000. The only people that could come by here to even bid on it were white, immigrants, whites, Indian, Asians, and Hispanic. Not one ADOCS could even afford here in Southern California to come and bid on the condo. I've since taken it off the market because, of course, once they learn it's a black person that owns the property, they want to lowball you, right? So I just, for kicks and giggles, want to see what I could get for it. Perhaps take those proceeds and move south someplace where I could be balling with a mansion or mini mansion anyway. But the long and short of it is, I want to jump in and tell you, you're absolutely right. When you say that now it's coming for professionals, the fight you've been fighting since forever. I want you to talk about how this new Amerikkka plan directly impacts descendants of American chattel slavery in the community. If you could touch on that. I'm going to mute and unmute you. Go ahead.
So I'm going to read this, and it's going to give you a direct understanding of how it impacts us. And this is Chicago. This is Chicago New Americans plan in writing. This is a piece out of it. It says right here, there were more than 100,000 unfilled positions in our city in 2011, a number that is expected to grow over the next decade. We will accelerate economic growth by training and attracting immigrants to fill these positions. Then it goes on to say, when they talk about our youth and their plan, to attract top employers and create jobs for all residents, our city must have a skilled, educated workforce. Immigrant children will make up the next generation of Chicago's workforce. If we don't get it, if we don't connect the fact that they would have the nerve first and foremost to say that they're going to give them 100,000 positions and understand that this is going to hurt our people, then there's something wrong with us. And I guess like a flood that you see is over your up to your knees and you don't do anything about it. But then you wait for it to get to your nose and then you say it's a flood. You know, I sum it up to say, I guess that's what it's going to take for some people to really understand that this is really impacting us. But I don't have to wait. I didn't wait for the water to get over my foot. When the water started running too hard, I knew that there was a problem. When I first saw the Office of New Americans, I knew that this would be a problem. I told people way back in 99, 2000, after hearing Dr. Claude Anderson speak, that these type of things would happen. I started to see it. I started to see them talk more and more about immigrants. I started to see the contractors. The contractors start flipping into more Hispanic. And to make it seem as if black people were getting contracts, they would go get Nigerians that look like us and give them the contracts here in Chicago. The descendants of slavery contractors wasn't getting access. And so when you talk about the Office of New Americans and the harmful effects of it on our people, we're talking about immigrants, whether you be from Africa, whether they be from Africa. So all that Pan-African stuff, I don't want to hear nothing about no Pan-Africanism until the African immigrants step up and say, what about the descendants of slavery when it comes to these Offices of New Americans? So don't tell me shit about no Pan-Africanism. I'm not interested in hearing. So whether they be from Africa, Asia, South America, India, Poland, Israel. All of these immigrant groups have come together to do away with us. We don't have an ally. There is no black and brown relationship. There is no blacks and Mexicans. And for all you elitist Negroes that you can't say a sentence about black people without talking about Hispanics, you're not speaking for us. And we're separated from y'all ass because y'all don't get it. Y'all see that you're being wiped out with your so-called degrees and all the damn debts that you got, and you still talk about black and brown? You still try to hold the party line? To want to be with the in crowd and be talking about this black and brown garbage? These people are not allies to us. They're not friends of ours. When you look at this plan, they directly exclude us. Let me read something else to you all that comes out. Now, everything that I'm reading to you all, when I'm mentioning Chicago, all you have to do is just take Chicago out of the equation and put the name of your city in it. And the same thing that's meant for us here in Chicago, based on this plan, even though it was birthed out of Chicago, is meant for you and your city. So if I'm saying the Chicago New Americans plan, I could easily say the Baltimore New Americans plan. I could easily say the Detroit New Americans plan, and it would read and play out the same way. So here it says the Chicago New Americans plan recommends a broad array of new programs and initiatives, which are designed to improve the day-to-day lives of immigrants while promoting Chicago's economic growth and cultural vitality. The plan's 27 initiatives are grouped into 3 categories: our growth, our youth, and our communities. A full list of initiatives follow on page 6. And what they're talking about is page 6 of this plan, the Chicago New Americans plan. And again, just as we have the Chicago New Americans plan, you have the Baltimore New Americans plan. You have the New York New Americans plan. You have the Miami New Americans plan.
Also, they name them differently sometimes. Tell them about how some of these things are named differently. It's not always the same to throw us off. They put us in a trick bag. Also, overstand, could you talk a little bit about how they are making professionals of the Hispanics and the Asians, and they're making them political offices in the government? So akin to the white oppressors, they're being made white to continue the oppression of us. They're taking over in political spaces, and they're taking over professionally. Can you talk about how that's happening and how that hurts us, because we've got a CBC that's more invested in Black and immigrant life, when their PACs, their caucuses have no plans for us. When you look over at their caucuses, you don't see us standing on the lines of the caucus for the Asians, AAPI, which just got 125 million. Which just got 125 million. You don't see any Blacks on that side with the Asians. You don't see us on their agendas for the Hispanic caucuses either. And yet you see the CBC being inclusive of all the immigrants under a caucus that's supposed to specifically speak for us. Can you please talk about it? Hold on.
Yes. Some of it I didn't hear you because my phone had blinked out. So if you could say what you just said again so I can hear you, because I didn't hear part of what you said when I came back in.
What I said was, I want you to explain to my audience about how they're making educated professionals of the Hispanics and the Asians with our affirmative action, that we're being locked out of because they fill those minority buckets. I need you to talk about the caucuses and how they're making political allies of these two groups specifically because they can make them white. And how, like Dr. Claude Anderson said, and I reverberate at the top of the show, if we think it's hard getting reparations from the white folks who owe it to us, wait until we're made fourth-class citizens and the immigrants now run the government with a worse, more oppressive boot than even our white oppressors right now. Could you speak about the impact of professional immigrants and political immigrants and how the CBC, their benign neglect of us as a specific group to cater and pander to everyone else for a butter biscuit, is leading to our genocide? Hold on, I'm going to mute and unmute your mic.
Yes, I mean, just recent as yesterday, I had a conversation with some Black people that work in the procurement office in the city of Chicago, and I found out that the Black woman that they got rid of have been replaced with a Hispanic woman. They talk in interim, but when they talk interim, 9 times out of 10, if it's not going to be that actual person, it's going to be another person from their same ethnic group. And see, a lot of this went down because we have coward, worthless leadership from Washington, D.C. down to these municipal offices, these municipal positions, who have nothing to say as long as they get theirs. See, that's what it's all been all about, as long as they get theirs. Well, now the getting yours is over. Now they don't need you no more. Now what you gonna do? You think we're gonna come in and help you? You think we're gonna speak up for you? And you never spoke up for us, and you were in these positions, and you could have looked out for your people. It makes it hard for us to do that. And what you're seeing politically and economically is that we are being displaced by these immigrant and refugee groups all over the country, and so we have to move into action. See, it's action time now. And that action must start on the ground level and reach the White House and let them know that not only we're not going to listen, that we're not going to listen to that we will not be listening to these so-called Black elected officials and Black leaders any further, but we're going to do everything in our power to replace them and anybody that go along with them. We're not going to go along with this, to get along with this democratic, this progressive liberal democratic agenda that excludes us, openly excludes us. Our people not only made sure that Joe Biden was elected, but also helped the Democratic Party secure 2 Senate seats. And see, people don't understand the senators are more powerful than the president. America is a corporation. A corporation has a president, and a corporation has board members. The president, Joe Biden, stepped down from being a board member of the United States of America to become the president. That was a step down for him. It was a political treat for him as he go out and in the back end of his life, whether it be to retire or die or whatever it is. This was an appreciation for him for all the work that he had done to do and all the things that he did effectively to destroy Black people. That's how I feel about it. So don't tell me about how racist Trump is if you can't see how racist this dude Biden is. This dude been in office since 1973. So when you look at Glass-Steagall, where people lost their homes. When you look at welfare reform, where women and children are starving and homeless. When you look at the crime bill. When you look at NAFTA, where before Joe Biden would push to hire Black people, he created a bill to ship the jobs overseas. All of this stuff is attached to Joe Biden. Not Trump talking shit, talking stuff. He was just talking. He's a good talker. This dude Biden has done this stuff to our people. And for older Black people to tell young Black people to vote for this dude is a slap in the face, and we're not listening to y'all any further. Whether you be a political leadership, whether you be some of our parents' generation that are in position, whether you be these pastors, we are not listening to y'all no more. And we're going to do everything in our power to step up and stand up and speak for ourselves. And we're reaching out to everybody, especially in our age group. We're not going for this. We're not going for it. We're not going to be quietly replaced by these immigrant and refugee groups. We're not going to let happen what just happened down in Minnesota? Y'all see where the Somalis came in, where black people were only 2%, and they sent that 5.5% of Somalis there, who now have had children, and they've doubled their population, treating black people like shit, killing black people, disrespecting our people. You think we're gonna stand down and watch that? We're not gonna stand idly back and watch that. It's not gonna happen. Down in Texas, where you got Nigerians who are over the prison system, we're not going to stand by idly by and allow this to happen to our people. And if you stand by and allow this to happen, trying to be friends with the enemy, then it's on you. Whatever happened to your children, whatever happened to you, it's your fault. You're over 40 years old and you see this going on and you're not saying nothing. You're the enemy. You're a disservice to your own children. So this means that we need to get with all of us who are Americans, and I don't care whether they're from rural Kansas or Kentucky, or they were from upstate New York to Chicago to Detroit and places like that. As Americans, we had better get together and put a stop to these immigration policies that are going to lead to not only us being 4th and 5th class citizens, but all Americans. America is under assault, and the Democratic Party is leading the assault because the Democratic Party is controlled by immigrants, you know what I'm saying, from across the country, from across the globe. If you don't believe that, keep living. Do your homework if you don't think that the Democratic Party is not an American party anymore. The Democratic Party is pushing to bring in more immigrants than have ever been brought into this country, to control everything, every job, every contract, every school system, every healthcare system. I'll say this last part. Can you imagine how many of our people died of COVID at the hands of these immigrants who control our healthcare system? Did you ever stop to think about that? Have anybody ever stopped to think about the fact that most of those doctors and nurses and all these people who they promoted these healthcare systems to across the country, how many of your family members died at the hands of these people? You couldn't even go in the hospital to check on them. You couldn't even talk to them, so they tell you what was going on with them. If you don't think this is a problem, there's something wrong with you. I know it's a problem, and we're going to do something about it. And so it's time that we move into action. Forget all this talking about the problem. We had better move into action. We better begin to organize, and we better demand that we get the same office that they're giving them. If there's going to be an office of New Americans, goddamn it, you're going to have an office for Old Americans, or an office for American descendants of slavery, or an office for North American descendants of slavery, or whatever you choose to call it. We must demand that they give us the same equal resource office that they're giving to these immigrants and refugees. And if we don't, whatever happened to us is our fault. Whatever happened to our children is our fault. We stood down and allowed it to happen.
Mark the King Carter is on fire, Easy Axe. Welcome, Robin Freelix. I see some more family filing in here. And for those of you who have yet to chat where you're slinging bricks for ADOCS, FBAB1, welcome to the live family. I want you to, I don't even know where else to go. You have just laid it down right now. Hold on one second. I got my questions lined up for you. I have you on mute so that I don't get feedback on my Bluetooth, family. So bear with me toggling back and forth, but this show has got to happen. I am so fortunate to now have Mark King Carter off the clubhouse where I don't frequent. That's his baby. And I'm going to definitely let you know where you can find him on the clubhouse teaching as he is doing here today. But we're fortunate because we had our first meeting yesterday, and I'm not going to get into all of what happens behind the scenes with brothers like this who bring that fire. Okay, I've got a lot of comrades who on a moment's notice joined me in a Zoom yesterday because just like Mr. Mark King Carter said, with an exclamation point, We ain't laying down no more. We're coming with the fire because we've got our children and our children's children and our entire lineage to save from these demo rats and the Republicans alike. I wanted you to speak, Mark, because let me explain. When I hear you speak, I hear you talking about the weaponization of our vote to unseat the lames until they cut the checks in the trillions over multi-generations. Now, they've neutralized us economically. And I have been stressing to my audience for a couple years now, maybe 18 months, about the importance of weaponizing the only commodity we've got. I've shared with them that what I am recommending is no different than what Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of Abyssinian Church, recommended when we delivered Teddy Roosevelt the White House and he dishonorably discharged 167 Buffalo soldiers who were wrongfully accused of murdering a second white man while being quarantined to their barracks for having been accused of murdering the first. Dr. Charles Morris said, you shot us when our guns were empty, and for that we're going to return the same by delivering a blue top of the ticket. And what weaponization looks like for me, unakin to many out here in the new black media that are discouraging us from going to the polls in an era where they're trying to take our Voting Rights Act all over the South. I don't know why we would ever suggest that we as black folks help contribute to the suppression of our vote. But my recommendation of the weaponization of that vote looks like a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 53% of ADOCS who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. My question to you, Mark King Carter, what is your vision of the weaponization of our vote? Because I believe a trifecta of either party is a death knell for ADOCS. Although Trump was a racist in office for only 4 years with no record against ADOCS and a border wall that he was trying to help protect us from these immigrants, that this 87% of our electorate thought it wise to replace him with racists in office against ADOCS 65 years combined with records against us several New York City blocks long. What is your suggestion? Do we withhold the vote and help these white folks suppress our vote and leave it our future to happenstance? Or do we weaponize it? And if so, what does that look like for you? I'm going to mute my mic and open yours.
There's two things that these politicians in this Democratic Party care about, and that's their elections and their money. And what it looks like from my perspective is that it's time for us to mess with their money and mess with their politics. What it looks like from my perspective is that it's time that we cause the Democratic Party to lose the House and Senate. There is no balance. You cannot have the Democratic Party being in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and then when they do nothing for you, you cry out about it. We have a chance to organize our numbers to cause balance. There needs to be a balance. We need the Republican and the Democratic Party to fight amongst each other so that we can get some things done. We'll never get anything done under the Democratic Party. That's a fact. They're showing you, again, this is the second time when Barack Obama had his first 2 years, he had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and he did nothing for black people. Black people voted 90-some% for this dude. Now that Joe Biden is there, they voted over 90-some% for this Klan member who testified. I mean, who did the eulogy of a KKK Grand Wizard. He has the House, the Senate, and the White House, and doing nothing for you. And going into the midterms, you mean to tell me you're going to go along with this? You're going to go along with it, so-called black leadership, but we're not going along with it. And we're going to do everything in our power now that we have a voice like Clubhouse where we can speak to each other all across the country to organize ourselves into a block of power. So if that means that we have to become a wild card and go meet with some of the Republicans, we'll do that. If that means that we have to meet with some new people who are running against y'all ass, we're gonna do that too. But we're not bound by either party. We don't have no allegiance nor no obligation to neither party. Don't tell me how racist a Trump is, but then you tell your people to go vote for Joe Biden. A racist cannot tell me how racist another racist is. It is a known fact that the Democratic Party don't give a damn about black people. And to move into action and what it looks like for us is to mess up their politics and mess with their money. That's what it looks like. That is what we have to do. Stop allowing the media that's owned by the Democratic Party to dictate to us. Let me say that again because we get it all mixed up. We don't understand that the same people own the music industry, own the media, and they own the Democratic Party. Same people. The same liberal, progressive Democrats own all three. They're dummying our people down through the movie industry and movie and entertainment industry. They're making sure that they elect do-nothing politicians. They own the banking system to make sure you can't even buy a home. We're not trying to hear this stuff. We're not trying to hear it at all. We're almost 50 years old. If we follow the suit of our parents who followed the suit of so-called black leadership, then we're doing a disservice to our children. So what it looks like at the end of the day is for us doing everything in our power to mess their politics and their money up since they don't care about us having it. That's what we're going to do. And if they don't like it, get over it. Get over it. I don't care if the Republican Party wins the House and Senate. Maybe it'll send a message to the Democrats that we're not to be played with. You think we're going to sit back and watch you give the whole country to immigrants and refugees, and we have children that are dependent on us, and we turn around and vote for you? Hell no, we're not going to vote for them. I would have rather that our people told us don't vote for nobody. I'd rather for them told us don't vote for nobody than to tell us how racist Trump was, and then to know how racist Joe Biden has been and things that he's done to our people, and then tell our people to go vote for this dude. That shows you that our people don't have their own minds, and they've lost their minds. The days of giving consent that everything is okay and standing down so we don't look like troublemakers, that stuff is over with. We are the troublemakers. We're here to make some trouble. And we ain't here to make no good trouble. Because the hell with that Negro too, talking about some damn good trouble. He didn't do a damn thing before he left here. They always want to idolize one of these old special Negroes. That Negro district looked like they dropped a bomb on it. I don't have no clapping for him. We get all emotional when somebody died.
So you're saying a total red ticket. You're saying vote red all the way down the ticket?
I'm saying mix it up. I'm saying go with those who own what you own. I'm saying mess up their stronghold in the Senate and in the House. Whatever it takes to send them the message that we don't like these officers of New Americans where they're giving everything to immigrants and refugees. We have to send that message. We cannot be mad at the Democratic Party and these people for what they've done for 3 years and 9 months, and then a few months into the election, all of a sudden, because they started talking about who's racist, we go along with the same racist Democratic Party that has done all this stuff to us. I specifically speak against the Democratic Party because our people have never given the Republican Party their vote. They've given their votes to the Democratic Party. So everything that has happened to us happened at the hands of the Democratic Party. Unemployment, poverty, crime, and every other bad has never gone down for us. But as long as these special Negroes and these politicians get what they want, They can care less what happened with us. So we're going to mess all of it up then. Mess it all up. The hell we got to lose.
So you think that the Republicans have a better invested interest in us who don't vote for them generally than the Democrats?
It's not, see, politics is not about who has a better interest or vested interest in us. That's not what it's about. My reason for telling people that it would be in our best interest to even go in that direction with the Republican Party on some of these seats is because of the fact, you all, they're going to go against these immigration policies. That's a fact. The lower level, and I'm not talking about them greedy capitalists up top. The greedy capitalists, whether you're a Democrat or Republican Party, are greedy capitalists, and they don't, anybody that they can get some cheap labor out of, they up with that. I'm talking about the lower level, everyday people across this country. They're going to go against the immigration policies. They're going to go against these racist unions that make sure they block us out of jobs and opportunities. And so if it's just for those two things right there, and not that they're intentionally doing it for us, but because they are against it, we can and we can benefit from it. I think we should ride that train. Be smart about this. Don't be emotional. Stop letting these people have you emotionally vote for who they want you to vote for, and they're the ones that's messing over you. This immigration policy is going to crush us, continue to crush us. And if we continue to vote for the Democratic Party, they're going to continue to take care of everybody but us. It is fact.
I have a question from Nicole, who put us together. She asked you to please speak on HR 1308, Section 103, Federal Initiative for New Americans. Director Chairman of the National Office of New Americans is inside the President's cabinet. Uh-oh, we lost him. Well, family, I hope he comes back in. I had that last question before I closed us out. Thank you guys for joining the live. He is spitting fire. He is spitting truth. And we've got to stop. Oh, here he is. I hope. It looks like he's trying to come in, family. Hold on. Okay. We have got to stop giving a damn what it looks like to scare ADOCS. Because our very existence of our lineage is on the line without critical mass surrounding reparations and an ADOCS agenda for our social justice and economic inclusion. We're finished if we don't fight and push back on this like often. Like, we need social media. We need to hit them up in the emails. We need to let them know that we see the hand of their puckery. Mike, before I open your mic, I'm sorry, Mark King, before I open your mic, Nicole asked you to please speak on HR 1308, Section 103, the Federal Initiative on New Americans. Director, Chairman of the National Office of New Americans is inside the President's cabinet. Could you please speak on it? I'm going to mute and unmute you.
So with 1308, across the board, and like I said, all these officers of New Americans are stationed in these mayor's offices across the country. Nationally, they are in the president's office. But in particular, when you're talking about 1308, right? And I'm gonna, and here's the actual bill. I have a copy of the bill. This is the entire bill. It reads that the National Office of New Americans, a bill to establish the National Office of New Americans to reduce obstacles to United States citizenship to support the integration of immigrants into social, cultural, economic, and civic life of the United States and for other purposes. This HR 1308 is the mirror of the Freedmen's Bureau that was put in place for us and stolen by white folks. It also mirrors the New Deal. That's what it's called, the New Deal for New Americans. So after 1933, about around 1933, after the Depression, President Roosevelt came up with the New Deal, which said they would use every resource known to man to stabilize white folks across this country and to stabilize this country in general, right? Well, now they're talking about doing the same exact thing, have skipped over us and talking about the same exact New Deal for these immigrants and refugees. And so, please do your homework, because my phone's about to shut down, but do your homework on HR 1.
I'm sorry, Mr. King. Your voice is scruffy. Something's going on with your mic. It's scratchy. Okay? Well, it's when you're talking, we can't really hear it clearly. It's fuzzy. Can you adjust your mic? No? Let's try it again.
My phone is about to shut down. Can you hear me now? My phone is about to shut down. Yeah.
Your phone is about to shut down. Is that why it's scratching? Okay. Well, we need to have you back because we can't understand anything you're saying. It's are you able to plug it in? Are you able to plug it in? Okay, family. We're going to have him back. We're going to have him back, and hopefully Miss Tamiko, she's been busy working, so I'm going to get a better time, Tamiko, to bring you back in where you're not having to share your time with your work. I understand how that works. She's been in the lobby holding, but she's been back and forth. ADOS Black, the National Office of New Americans, HR 572 created the Initiative for New Americans. That initiative has 8 cabinet positions and the director of the Small Business Administration and the director of the Officer of Management and Budget. Nikki says she'll try to get him back. Nikki, don't bother. We're at 90 minutes, okay? And I need to bring him back, and then we'll unpack that topic, let him rest, and get his phone recharged. Tamiko, I know you hear me, my love. We're going to reschedule, sweetheart, because I don't want you to have to split your time between your work and being a guest on the show. The people want to hear from you as well. So I will be in touch. You know, we're working on some things behind the scenes to really address this nationwide. Family, when you're not at the table, you're on the menu. We've had no representation. We have no friends. Okay? We have no friends. It is on us as the grassroots to turn this Titanic around for the sake of our entire lineage. So I want you guys to get informed. I will probably do a part 2 or touch on this tomorrow. What's up, William Dickens? I see you, family. Nikki Williams, ADOS Black. Let me say hello to my family before I pray us out. Lawrence Jones. Who did I miss? I got Brian, Robin, Nikki, Joy. I see you, Joy Singleton. She's here representing for ADOS Advocacy Foundation. Satch, Ohio. Yeah, family. FBA B1. ADOCS. Solidarity. ADOS. Everyone, family. It is time for us to put our differences aside. We need all hands on deck. I'm going to touch a little bit more on what my guest spoke on. Miss Chatanda spoke on the ethnic cleansing of ADOCS teachers in the workforce and the impact that has on our youth, who have no disrespect and total disdain for us as their parents because we've left them a nightmare. We've not given them anything to hope for. We've not given them anything to live for. Hence why you see black on black crime and murders on the rise. And of course, I'm going to touch a little bit more on what my illustrious guest, Mr. Mark King Carter, shared. I pray to have them back sooner than later to continue to unpack this and to get the rest of my questions answered and to ring the alarm and to keep the foot on the gas. We don't have the privilege of relaxing. We don't have the privilege of getting caught up in a Juneteenth that they're only incorporating to pay themselves for a day off some more. Okay? We've been celebrating Juneteenth without it being a federal holiday. And the way these immigrants and white folks have taken over the private and public sectors, they're the only ones getting paid for the heinous chattel slave labor our ancestors had to endure. They're getting paid. So you'll be seeing all kind of mattress sales and all kind of specials. They're going to make this as big a deal as 4th of July and Black Friday and the like, Christmas and the whole 9 yards. And it is our job to stay on our square with a one-track mind. Reparations, reparations, reparations now. And with that said, family, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever God is, wherever ADOCS and its allies are, God truly is. Because, family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until tomorrow, when I'm also going to include the Chauvin sentencing. We've had Coon AG Keith Ellison sending dog whistles to the judge to take it easy on the very inhumane Chauvin, as if his humanity matters above Mr. George Floyd. You know, Ida B. Wells 2.0 anti-black racism will have none of that puckery. We will go over that sentence. I need everybody to connect with your inner Christ, your inner Buddha, your inner Allah, to make sure he gets the maximum 40 years in general population, because death would be too good for this assassin and this glacier donkey domestic terrorist. Death would be too good. Let him live with this for the maximum 40 years. I need all of the God in you to coalesce your energy around that outcome. That's the only one that will suffice. You make it a beautiful God-inspired rest of your evening until tomorrow. Know this, I love you black. I love you strong. Peace, family.